Hi everyone, this is Maureen Belhakamari, and I'm going live today, just sharing some mistakes that helped me as a baker because it's always good to make mistakes because you can learn from them. So, in this particular session, I'm talking to home bakers who are thinking of starting a business, but also who are already doing business because some of these lessons can actually help you out. So, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. If you join me, just make sure you hit the love bubbles or you hit the like button or you comment. So I'm live both on YouTube and on TikTok. So I'll be checking any comments from both places. So if you're live on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and make sure you leave a comment. Are you a home baker? Are you doing business? Are you thinking of starting to do business? And if you do, what are some of your challenges, right? So I'm going to get started on my presentation, right? Just so that this doesn't take too long. Some of these do tend to go a bit longer. So this is the Baking for Profit program. So we actually do have two channels. This is a channel that we post anything to do with business content, especially for small scale bakers. So our other channel is actually called Baking with Amari. So if you don't follow on there, make sure you do. So today I'll be talking about the 3 mistakes I made as a home baker that I learned from. And the point of this is to show you how you can too. And to explain to you, once I corrected how I was able to grow my business and move from a home bakery setup to a shop setup, right? So you might be wondering to yourself, like, is there actual growth in the baking industry? I think this year a few people have kind of asked me, like, is it worth it to be in the baking industry? Is there any growth? Like, should I leave the baking industry? And so I just want to share some numbers with you guys that I think would be interesting to know, right? So, and this is statistics. So for those of you in TikTok, you can go to my YouTube channel to check the links. If you're on YouTube, I'll be leaving the links at the bottom. As to where I got these insights, these are statistics that have been, proven by people. So the Global Market Insights share that the bakery products market size is valued at 235.5 billion in 2022. This is 2 years ago, right? And that just means that there was so many sales of bread and cake and all that stuff that was equaling to about 234 billion. In the US, in 2023, the US bakery market was valued at 78.96 billion. So the first number was worldwide. In the US only in 2023, 78.9 billion people. Like, that's how much it was valued at. And it's set to rise to 86 billion by 2029. So it's not like tech, it's not growing like at 10% or 20%, but there's growth in the baking industry, which tells us that it is not a dead industry. It means that it's not something that's dead, it's going to continue, because that's a growth of about 1.62%. That's not bad for an industry that was doing really, really badly in 2020, right, guys? So it means that there is hope in the baking industry. I just want to share more numbers about the baking industry. So in Kenya, these are Kenyan statistics. I'm a Kenyan baker. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. So just sharing some Kenyan statistics. Bread and cereal products in Kenya, the revenue in 2024, right, so far has been 8.2 billion. $8.2 billion, which means it's about 1 trillion shillings. So the market is expected to keep growing, and especially in Kenya, it's expected to grow by 9%, right, between 2024 and 2029. So again, what that tells us is that the baking industry in Kenya is growing. And by the way, with the statistics I've just showed you guys, it means it's actually growing faster in the African market than the US market. That's probably because in the US, it's already a grown market, like it's been there. But in Africa, it's been growing faster and faster as we continue. Now, just a final thing to mention is that in a global comparison, China is one of the highest growth or the highest consumer when it comes to the bread industry. And it does about $278 billion. That's the China market. So what I want to say is that the Kenyan market growth might be moderate. The African growth might be moderate, but it's there, right? The baking industry is not dying anytime soon in the African region. And if we were to look at the wage, because sometimes you look at how people are paid, to see how well an industry is doing. And when you look at the range of the wages that are there for Kenyan bakers, starting at 21,000, most of them are paid 35 to 45,000, and it can go all the way to at 87,000. This is not just employed bakers. This is bakers who are artisans, people who are doing, specific high level type of cake decoration. So they're paid based on their skill level. And some of it realize that if I'm a baker and I'm running my own business, I'm paying myself too. So that means a lot of people are getting income from the baking industry in different ways, which means again, the industry is not exactly a dead industry, right? Just to mention that. So for those of you people who is wondering, like, is there growth in the baking industry? Yes, there is actual a lot of growth in the baking industry. So it's not something that is gonna die, it's something that's here to stay, right? So as a home baker, why should you be concerned about growth, right? I talk about growth and people will be like, well, I'm a home baker. Why should I care about growth? Well, number one, if baking is a hobby for you, right? If it gives you a little bit of money here and there, but you're not looking to stay in the industry, you're not looking to rely on that income for baking at home, you don't have to worry about growth at all, right? Because, well, just think of it as an expensive hobby. And there's people who love having expensive hobbies, and that's your thing. That's okay. You don't have to worry about all these things I keep talking about, right? So if you're those people who's really not concerned about making money in the baking industry, then you don't have to worry about growth in the baking industry at all. However, if you're those people who actually are interested in growth in the baking industry, number one reason why you want growth in your home bakery is that it means you have increased earning potential. If you move from a home bakery to like a bakery shop, the bakery shop allows you to sell more products to more customers. So you're not limited to your small home bakery kitchen, right? Which sometimes can be limited for many other reasons. Not that just the kitchen, a lot of people are using it. There's many of you, if you live with other people, it might be a smaller size. So what this does, it gives you higher earning potential because there is more space in this one. Second reason why you should be concerned about growth if you're a home baker is brand building. By having a physical storefront, no matter how small, or at least doesn't have to be huge, gives your brand a face that people can connect with in the community, right? Like we can go to so and so's bakery to collect a cake or to pick a cake or whatever. So your customer is able to connect with you on a more personal level, which builds loyalty. The third reason you should be concerned about growth is that it makes operations efficient. Having a dedicated bakery space allows you to optimize your workflow. Like I can plan on Monday, I'm going to do this, and this space is for this, and all that stuff. Like you're able to actually optimize your day-to-day operations, and you can segment a place where you're like, this place is for baking, this place is for decorating, this place is for washing. I will deal with customers here, right? So it makes it easy to run your day-to-day business. And finally, the reason you should be into growing as a home baker is credibility, right? In various ways. For example, because I'm a baker based in Nairobi, Kenya, one of the bylaws that I tell bakers that they should be aware of is that in Nairobi County, technically having a home baking business is actually illegal, because what the bylaws say is that you cannot produce food in a place that is adjacent to living quarters, or like a bedroom, somewhere where people sleeping quarters. So if you look at that in your home, that means that your home technically is not where you should be selling cakes, right? So if somebody was to really pursue you, they can actually catch you on that technicality. So what you want to do over time is move from somewhere that's adjacent to those sleeping quarters, right? And for those of you who are curious, if you're in Nairobi or any other county in Kenya or anywhere in the world, go online, go to the web and just search. Like for me, if I'm in Nairobi, I would search Nairobi City Council bylaws. If you're in Kisumu, you're going to search Kisumu County bylaws. Go find out the laws that govern the place you live in, the region or the place you're living at, and download them, because most of them are usually down somewhere in a PDF, and they'll tell you the law. That's how I discovered. I downloaded and I was like, oh my God, these are the laws for kitchens for manufacturing of food. So just a point to note, some of these things, just because you're ignorant doesn't mean they exist, right? It's good to have the information so that you're not ignorant. So, why do you want a shop? To add on to the credibility of your brand, so that not only do you have a shop that you can, people can see like, wow, this is the right legal way to do it. It also kind of gives you a designated place where you're safely doing stuff, right? You're not worried about somebody's gonna come and take my thing and I didn't know I ran out of eggs because somebody came and used the eggs. Another thing, by having that shop and looking at the city council bylaws, you're able to get the permits that you need to run your business properly. And another thing I will say, as somebody who's had this particular issue, is that you tend to attract a different type of clientele. When you're a home baker, and maybe when you move to a shop, you're able to attract a more premium clientele over time, because they can kind of see that your business looks like a very serious business. So that's usually a plus. So that's one of the reasons why you want to make sure you move, like you have growth in your mind. You want to move because, well, it's a good thing for you. So now, before I get into the actual mistakes I'm making, you might be wondering to yourself, why should you listen to me? Like, what's the point of listening to this lady? And so I just want to give you a little bit of background about my journey in the baking industry until now, or to the shortest ability ever, right? So I'm a professional baker, cake artist, and I'm a trainer. I'm the founder and chief trainer at the Baking with Amari brand. I've been a bakery professional for over 12 years, professional baker, cake decorator, and a recipe developer. I've worked in the baking industry since 2008. I was employed in a commercial bakery. I am the owner of a bakery business in Kenya. So I've been an entrepreneur in the baking industry in Kenya since 2012. And since 2015, I've been training bakers. I have my business, it's called Baking for Profit Limited, and it has 3 brands: Baking with Amari, Chiffon Cakes by Amari, and the Baking for Profit program. And all of those cater to different target audiences. So whatever you're on social media, if you search Baking for Profit program or you search Baking with Amari, you can be able to follow us. My core business, which is Baking with Amari, we offer baking and cake decoration classes, recipe ebooks, baking for business masterclasses, and business classes that help bakers improve their knowledge when it comes to business and when it comes to baking. Now, we offer both online courses and physical courses when it comes to the baking classes, right? And we always have an intake ongoing. We have an intake ongoing even for group classes in January. We do one-on-one classes. We have an intake going on for that in December. And our location is Arcades Discount Mall on Gong Road, shop number 52, ground floor. This is next to the Greenhouse Mall for any of you who are in Nairobi and they know the Adams Arcade area. That's where we do our classes. I also have the Chiffon Cakes by Amari Bakery. So this is a very bespoke brand. We're very custom. We are custom to order, which means you have to make the payment and everything for us to start working on your order. And we only work on chiffon cakes in our bakery. I am a passionate baker. I've been employed in the food industry for a very long time, for 9 years. So I have a background in hotel management from when I was 16, I think, to when I was 25. I was doing the food business. I decided to pursue my baking passion in 2012 and turn it into an income generating activity, which I do till now. And I do that currently by teaching individuals to bake, decorate. I also participate in various training and industry events. I learned to bake when I was in high school. That's the first time I learned to bake. So again, I've been baking for a very, very long time. My first baking teacher, her name was Miss Mina Deo in high school in Ohio. She really encouraged my passion in baking, taught me so much. And then after that, of course, I attended professional online baking courses between 2010 and 2013 when I was looking to get very serious. So for those on YouTube, you can just kind of see my progress. This is the work I had in 2007 and 2008, which is just not that great. But of course, as I continued learning and practicing, this is my work that I have right now in 2012. All the way till now, I know how to bake cakes, decorate, use different icings and mediums when it comes to cake decoration. I also teach people how to do that too, whether it's ganache, fondant, wafer paper, rice paper, all of those basically. I also know how to bake yeast pastries, puff pastry, laminated pastries, cookies, and other fried pastries like donuts. So I was born in Nairobi, Kenya, and my family relocated when I was 12, and we moved to the US. in a state called Ohio. That's where I lived for a while. Then I came back in 2007 and I decided to try entrepreneurship, which failed miserably because I did not know what I was doing. So I lost my money within that year. After failing, I basically had to be employed at some point to reduce my debt. And that job taught me so much about running a business in Kenya and just kind of figuring out how I'm supposed to do things. I decided I still wanted to be an entrepreneur while I was in that job. And so I planned myself, quit, and started a business called Amari Quick Breads Bakery. This was in 2012, and I was just selling banana bread, lemon bread. Around this time, I also started a baking blog because it was so hard to find information in Kenya about where to buy stuff, ingredients. And so, actually, what I started doing is writing in the blog to share to any baker who wanted. And that blog is still there. It's amaribakery.com. So, my business did well, and I opened a shop in 2013. But again, I made all the mistakes and closed within 6 months. And again, had to get employed to make money back. As you can see, this is my journey. So in 2014, I got some serious business mentorship because that's the skills I did not have. And this helped me actually start training bakers because around that time I started training because everybody was like, oh, do you offer baking classes? I want to learn how to bake. And so I started offering the training. In 2015, I started doing business training because I was training people to bake, but I started realizing people don't know how to cost, people don't know how to price, people don't know how to market, the same things I was going through. And so in 2015, I started offering training on business and such things. And I was just kind of sharing what I'm doing myself. At that time, I also started selling recipe books because I'm a passionate recipe developer. I'm always tweaking and looking for the best result ever. So I started because people were interested in my recipes. I started selling the recipe ebooks. I also started doing group training and other specialized training. So I've done like training in Kisumu for eggless baking. I do business training, that kind of thing. As you can see, in 2019, I was still offering classes. This is in my home bakery setup still. So from 2015 is when I decided to actually get very, very serious and just double down on online marketing and just kind of grow my business. And still, this is my home bakery setting. So between 2017 2018 is when I actually saw a shift in my business and I actually made my first million in sales. And I realized the potential in my business, especially due to digital marketing and focusing on building a brand online. So in 2018, I started doing longer mentorships because I'd find people were like, listen, I'm a baker. I want to get serious and I'm willing to pay, right? And so people started paying me for longer mentorship and mastermind groups, those who are looking to get serious. In 2019, I had this idea. I kept having this idea of I wanted to start a certain baking business because at this point I was just doing the training. But this time I particularly wanted to focus on chiffon cakes. And so in 2019, I launched my second bakery brand, which is Chiffon Cakes by Amari. And we still to this day do take orders. It's not our main business, but we still take orders for our chiffon cakes. And of course, I launched this with a heavy focus on online marketing and it did very well. At the end of 2022, I had to rebrand my business. So originally, some of you, if you've known me for a while, you OG people, you've known my business as Amari Baking Center. But we had to rebrand for multiple reasons to Baking with Amari at the end of 2022. So at this point in 2023 is when I moved my home bakery to a bakery shop in Nairobi, and I found a very small, tiny shop, and that's why we were running the classes until recently, where I was able to move to a bigger shop and be able to take on a higher capacity at the same time, also be able to take group classes that have more people, right? And hold master classes as well. So that is basically my journey in the baking industry. As best as I can explain it. So again, I do external trainings, and this means that we go to maybe a staff, an institution may call me to train their staff, or maybe we'll do staff training for like cake supply shop people who don't know. Hello, Annie from Kampala. Thanks for joining me. And so I do all that kind of training. I have also been a judge in baking competitions as well, as we continue on. So I'm proud to be a professional baker and a cake artist, and I absolutely love what I do. I don't share my journey to show off or anything. My point to you guys is business is not a straight line. Even the journey is not a straight line. It's not gonna be like this. it's going to be up and down, right? And so what you have to do is just kind of keep learning the skills and just taking some of the mistakes you make and making them into lessons. Because that's what I've done. To this day, I still make mistakes. It's just that when I make the mistakes, I'm learning very fast. There is something people call failing fast. I am a big believer in failing fast. So long time I used to be extremely afraid of failing. Like I just figured I need to do everything perfectly. But that's not something I believe anymore. I believe that you're gonna fail in general, right? Because we're human beings, we're not perfect. But what you gotta do is learn how to fail fast. Fail, recognize you failed, correct, keep moving, right? So that's why I'm sharing the mistakes that I've made and how they've helped me, because I not only made the mistake, I learned from the mistake, right? And that's just the point. And remember, as a business owner, you just have to keep improving. As a baker, you just have to keep improving. As long as you're improving, I believe there's going to be hope, right? So to share the 3 mistakes I've made as a home baker, mistake number 1, the one thing that this one really, really cost me was not reviewing my costing and pricing periodically, right? So I had set my price and then I just continued using that price 2 years, 3 years. That's very dangerous, right? Because things change, and you have to keep reviewing at least every 6 months, if not at least once a year. Of course, it depends on your business, your region, and everything. So with this mistake, I like sharing it as a story, right? So, how I learned this, or how I basically realized I made a mistake, is I did costing and pricing for my cakes. And then I opened the shop that I told you, the first shop I opened, that didn't last long. So once I did that, I introduced a new product. I was selling buns or scones to shops. If you're in Africa, you know what I'm talking about. Shops will like selling cheap things to people, like 5 shillings, 10 shillings. And so I started making those. And when I started making those, for some reason, I just tweaked the recipe, made sure it's like cheaper, and then I took the price that the shopkeeper told me to sell at. And so at that time, I was packing them like the small buns, 12 of them in a polythene paper, and I would sell to the person at 50 shillings. And then she would sell, or whoever it is would sell, and they would make 10 shillings out of each packet. So it got to the point where I was selling those 50 shilling packets. I would like distribute to like 10 people, right? I was distributing a lot because, well, they tasted good, and that's why people like them. They tasted good and they were moving. So once I did that, right, I tell people, a baker came to visit me. I've never seen her again. I feel like she was just God sent. She came to visit me, talked to me about how her cupcakes um, were making a loss for her, congratulated me on the shop, and left. We talked again on phone, but we never reached out after that. When she talked to me is when I realized, oh my God, I haven't done pricing for these buns. I should do the pricing. So I went home, sat down, and did the costing and the pricing, right? I'd done for the other stuff. I don't know why I hadn't done for this one. When I did the costing and pricing, the next day I stopped selling them because I discovered it was costing me 120 shillings to make the buns or the scones. 120 shillings. Remember, I am selling them at 50 shillings. So that means for each packet I'm selling, I am making a loss of 60 shillings. Now remember, my scones have gone so popular, I'm selling 10 packets a day, right? Which means I am making a loss of 600 shillings a day. Now, in context, like when I look back, I just understand why my shop didn't last, because I'm not making money. It's almost as if I'm just giving away money for free. So per month, I was making a loss of 15,600. I can't explain how painful that was, especially at this time, because I didn't have a lot of money and I needed to save every amount of money I had. Here I am losing 15,600 per month. By the way, at that time, my rent was 15,000. So I could have paid rent with that money, right? So I stopped selling those. Unfortunately, the damage had been done. I had started selling those cones around May, right, of that year. I think it was 2013. And by July, I stopped selling them. But I had messed up my finances so much and made so many losses, I had to close my shop by the end of August, right? So it's sort of an unseen effect of pricing. Now, was there other factors that came into me closing? Of course. But this was one of the major ones that kind of like, well, the nail in the coffin. where now I really had to close because I was just making losses this whole entire time. I want to remind you guys, the interesting thing is that I had actually done pricing for the cakes and the cupcakes. Those I was selling at a profit. But for some reason, I don't know why, I just kind of like, started selling these without doing proper costing. And so what I want to tell you is that if you have new products, if you're those bakers who started baking last year and you've never changed your price, right now, December 2024, this is the time for you to sit down and review your costing and review your pricing, because maybe something has changed and you need to make sure you adjust for that. And one of the things that may have changed, even for me, like sales have been a bit slower this year as opposed to last year. And so the truth about it is that if you know how to do proper costing, for those of you who maybe have bought any of my products that do costing and pricing, or you've been taught by somebody how to properly cost and price, one of the things, remember, you have to consider is the number of cakes you're selling per month. So when you're doing your costing of your cakes, you have to account for minimum order, like the minimum orders you're getting per month. If last year your orders were 10 and this year it's gone down to 5, your cakes are more expensive, which means you're selling at a loss, right? So please start reviewing and adjusting your costing based on what's happening. So from 2015, I've done that. In 2013, I've closed. I have to get a job because I have no money because I've lost all this money at that time. So when I got back and started doing business between 2014 and 15, one of the things I have been doing to this day is I started doing annual costing review of our prices. Sometimes, like there's a time in 2021, 2022, if you guys remember, inflation was so bad. It would be January, flat is at 100 shillings. March, flour is at 150. It was crazy. I started reviewing my prices every 3 months after that because I was realizing I need to keep track of whether I'm still making money or if I'm not. Now, the good thing, because of how I do my costing and the margins that I add, I didn't have to change my prices at that time. But I kept checking. I kept checking anyway. So one of the things I learned to do is do review for my prices. Now, you might wonder, how has that helped me at all to get a shop? Well, when I started thinking that I want to get a premise, I changed my pricing the year before. Actually, what I started to do is one of the expenses that I included. Now, when you're home-based bakery, I know that most home bakers don't even put a price. When you do costing with me, I always tell you put 500 or 1,000, right? So most people don't add the cost of rent when you're a home baker. If you want to move to a shop, add the cost of rent. I just started increasing my expenses. So my prices may have seemed expensive, but that's because I was telling myself, can I sell my products with the increased expense of rent? And I started adding a small amount. I started with like 10,000, then I put 20,000. And that tells me that if I can still sell that product with that pricing, it means I can actually pay for a shop. I can actually rent a shop, right? So I made sure I could at least make a specific amount for rent before I got the space. So this means when I got the space, I was confident that I was actually going to make that rent, right? So the moral of this story, do proper costing and pricing. If you do not know how, please get help. Learn how to do it correctly. Review, if you're already selling, review your prices. If you can't do it every 6 months, like do it June or July, then come back in December before you get busy with festivities. Do a lot of review. I'm doing a lot of review right now of my marketing, of my costing, of my pricing, all those things. So make sure you do it correctly. Simple ways in which you can learn if you're those types of people who need help. We do have a cake pricing bundle, which is basically like a book, a video, and a spreadsheet where you can learn how to do the costing. However, we have an upcoming class that I want to tell you about later that's going to talk about costing and pricing, and especially reviewing. Like you already have done the costing and pricing and you're reviewing for the new year. So I'll tell you about that class in a little bit. Second mistake that I made was not focusing on branding, right? And this is the first. Remember, I failed like 2 times, seriously. So technically, I've kind of restarted 3 times. So when I talk about not focusing on branding, I'm talking about the first time. I just didn't focus on branding. And what I did is that I was obsessed with selling. I just wanted to sell cakes. I didn't think branding was important, right? At this time, I didn't even have much business knowledge, to be honest. I wasn't targeting a specific market, I wasn't targeting a specific niche. I just wanted to increase sales, make lots of money. I wasn't really focusing on building relationships as an important part of my baking business. I just wanted people to just buy from me and give me money. And over time, I just kind of realized, as a baker specifically, if you're in the baking industry and you've been doing this for a while, you know this is very important. You need return customers. We make money from the people who keep coming back and buying our products. And so that's when I realized, wow, okay, branding is important. So when I restarted again in 2012, and at some point in 2013, I've told you guys I opened a shop. I had started focusing on branding, but once I opened that shop, again, I forgot. I kind of like stopped focusing on branding for some reason. I don't know. I think I got busy, stressed, it became stressful, and I didn't think branding was important. And again, I started focusing on sales. I would look for people who just, to sell my thing, just make the money and continue on. Branding in my head was not very important. So I was not consistent. In 2012, I branded. 2013, I stopped branding. Like, I wasn't very sure as to what I'm doing. I was all over the place. And again, I feel that's one of the many reasons that I ended up closing shop in 2013, because I wasn't doing the fundamentals that you have to do in business to keep your business growing. After that, I kind of started making sure that I'm consistent, right? If you're on YouTube, you can check the picture I have here on the cupcakes, where I started engaging with my audience seriously online. I started focusing on getting them to come back. I realized actually what happened is I once did my math and I found there's a lady who all through the whole year, because I was using QuickBooks, right? QuickBooks, the financial software. I realized she'd spend about 14,000 shillings for the whole year. And she would just buy small things. Like she'd buy a mini cake, she'd buy cupcakes, just small things. When I looked at the whole year, I was like, wow. At that time, by the way, I couldn't fathom that somebody could spend a total of 14,000 in my business. So when I realized the power of loyalty or loyal customers, I started to focus on it. And I would do different things. I would just try different things. At some point, I had a loyalty program and I was tracking it like with an Excel sheet. And every time you'd buy something, like if you'd buy a dozen cupcakes, I would give you 150 points. And so the point was for you to get to like 1,000 points and you could redeem something. Like you could redeem a cake, you can redeem a 1 kg cake, something like that. So I would literally reward loyal clients with things like flavor of the month. Like I'd mix it up, flavor of the month. If you buy this size, the bigger the size of the things, the more points. And so I remember having 5 to 6 customers for like a couple of months who kept coming back every month because they were racking up points and they kept wanting to redeem. I had a lady who redeemed like 3 times, right? So that kind of taught me the power of brand building. And then in that, the power of having loyal customers, because they will keep coming back because they're looking out for deals each month to be able to earn. And they, like anybody, even you love if you're racking up points so you can get something. There's nothing as enticing as getting free stuff, right? So I made sure that I'm consistent. I made sure that I'm engaging with my at some point on Facebook, I was running contests, right? If you're on YouTube, you can kind of check this out. I even did a giveaway for those who participated, and I was calling this, it was like a February special, and I was calling it hashtag Amari Love. And a lot of people, I was shocked. A lot of people ended up posting. I would tell them, take a picture, write a hashtag Amari Love, and you can post on social media and tag us. And so what it did, it gave us a lot of audience. At that time, I was trying to build my brand. So I just wanted people to follow our page and like our posts. And I ended up giving cupcakes to those people who participated. As you can see here, they're like posters and everything. And I started realizing the power of building a brand over time. So if you're wondering, how does that help you grow into a shop? So out of not doing it, making that mistake of not doing it, I adjusted and started focusing on branding, and this helped me grow because I was being deliberate with my marketing. I was being deliberate with my branding. I was able to slowly actually start building a target market, like start targeting a specific market and start building an audience. And the good thing about building an audience, it expounds. right? Now, I know it's different now. Things obviously have changed online, but especially around that time when I was building my brand, it compounded. People would tell people about my brand and they would like my page and people would DM and it still happens, right? Why? Because I was consistent. I was consistent both offline, I was consistent online. I would go to events to build my brand. And what this does over time, because there's this sort of buzz continuing going on all the time, you start getting steady sales. Before, I would get one cake a month. Sometimes I'd go 3 months without an order. But now, all of a sudden, because I am consistently branding and the word is getting out there, every month I started getting one order. Then, over time, every month I'm getting 2 orders, 3 orders, 5 orders. So, because I became very consistent with branding, my sales became more consistent. And the only way to get a shop and pay every month your expenses is to have consistent sales to pay for the expenses. So this is how it helped me grow into a shop, because I'm being deliberate in my branding, I'm getting increased sales, consistent sales. Okay. So at least now I'm able to get clients every month. So that's why branding is very, very important. So what can you do? What action can you take as a home baker to help you with this? Well, you can start by taking a look at your current business and ask yourself, do I have a strong brand, right? Is my cake business the type of cake business that is unforgettable? Do I have people who keep coming back because they're obsessed and feeling an emotional connection to my brand? If not, maybe you do have to consider branding your business, right? Do you have a clear relationship with your audience or your clients? If the answer is no, sit down and start creating a brand for your business today. Especially if you want to get serious in 2025, do it now. Do it now, guys, right? Sit down, start working on how can I make sure my brand is strong. If you know a bit about branding, you can start working by building a loyal consumer base. If you don't know about this, guys, get help, right? You can join the course that I'm about to share in a bit that can help you a little bit with branding. So the third mistake that I made was not having a marketing strategy or a marketing plan. Not having a marketing strategy or a marketing plan. So we've talked about not having branding, but please realize marketing and branding, they have different definitions, but I'm going to keep it simple. When I say I have no marketing plan, it means when it came to marketing, and since my 90% of my marketing was online, so I had no plan. I was not consistent, especially in my first year of business, my 2012, when I was getting serious. What I used to do is I would post consistently, then like for 2 weeks. Then when I get busy with orders, I would not post. I would go 10 days where I have nothing. I haven't posted anything. Then I would remember and then I'd run and start posting again, right? I'd be like, oh my God, I haven't posted. I start posting again. So then I'd start posting. So what happens, I would have varying results. Some months were good if I was consistent. The months I was not consistent, they were not so good. And so again, that's kind of made me realize, wow, having a strategy and having a plan is extremely important. Now, I'm not telling you guys it's the easiest thing. It is quite overwhelming, especially if you're a home baker and you're already selling. You know that doing multiple things, because we have to wear multiple hats, is not easy, right? You have to bake, you have to decorate, you have to sell, you have to market, you have to post. It's a lot, but you chose this, so hey. So it's still quite overwhelming to this day, but I still do it to this day, right? Because that's actually what keeps your business growing. So what I started doing is I started being consistent and planning ahead. If you really understood the amount of planning I do, you would be shocked. Some people will see it like, you're crazy. I am insane about my business. So you need to plan ahead and you have to be consistent. These days, and anybody who's posting content, if you're posting content anywhere, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you know very well that consistency is key. The only way that you are favored as a creator on any platform is if you are consistent. And as a person who's on about, I think, 7 to 10 platforms, I can tell you this is true. If you're not consistent on TikTok, you have less traction. If you're not consistent on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, I post on LinkedIn too. If you're not consistent, the algorithm doesn't really serve your content to people. And so most people get frustrated because they do what I was doing a long time. You will post and then you'll ghost and then you post and then you ghost like that. You're not consistent. But if you're more consistent, then we, your audience, if I'm following you as a baker or if I'm following you, sorry, as a cake lover, I'm more likely to see your stuff all the time because you're more consistent, which means Instagram, TikTok, whatever is serving me your content because they've realized you are a consistent creator. So, how has this helped me grow into a shop? By sitting down each year and deciding what my marketing strategy is. I tell people marketing, strategy, and plan are two different things. Strategy is like an overall goal. I am going to become, like, let's say if I am selling cupcakes, my strategy could be I will be the second largest cupcake distributor in Nairobi. That could be my strategy. And so your strategy might be 1, 2, 3 years, right? It's going to be long term. Then your plan is the actions you take to get to that strategy that you've had. Like, how do I become this cupcake supplier? Okay, so this is the plan to get there. So that's what we're talking about. That's the difference between having a strategy and having a plan. And so, on that note, the point is, I sit down and I tell myself, this is my 2025 strategy. And then I tell myself, how am I going to get there? Well, each month I'm going to do this. Each quarter I'm going to do this. And so I come up with a plan to execute on my strategy, right? So I hope that makes sense to you guys. So when I do that, I make sure I do it. So just writing something down doesn't mean I'm going to do it. So you have to make sure you're taking the steps to do it each day, each week, each month. And that's kind of where bakers get lost, right? We get lost in doing the day-to-day posting and the day-to-day planning that we have to do to actually do the posting that we have to do. So by doing those things, by having a strategy and a plan and following the plan, I have been able to get consistent sales in my business, which has helped me grow into a bakery shop. So if you're wondering, how do you take action on what I've just said? Well, number one, plan ahead. Like, most people don't love hearing this, but make the time to plan ahead. If you want your business to grow, you have to make time to plan for your business. So what you can do is sit down and make sure you have a strategy. Ask yourself, what do I want in this business? I want it to grow to what? Then come up with a strategy, and then out of that, come up with a plan to achieve whatever goal you've come up with. So when you do those two things, you have a strategy and then you sit down to have a plan, you're able to know what to post, when to post it, where to post it. Maybe you've decided in 2025, I only post, maybe in 2024, you're only posting on TikTok. You've told yourself, okay, in 2025, I'm going to post on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. That's more work. So you have to sit down and go like, okay, what am I going to post in these platforms? When am I going to post in platforms, right? Find tools to make your work easy, right? If you're a solopreneur, which when you're a home baker, that's what we are. We're solopreneurs, right? Find tools to make your life easy. Do I need tools to edit? Do I need CapCut? Do I need Canva? What types of tools do I need to plan myself to be able to post this content? Do I need to schedule post? Do I need AI to help me with captions? And if you have the money, get somebody to help you. Like, if you have the resources, you can get a video editor, you can get a photographer, whatever your situation is, do what you need to do, right, to make this happen. And I want to mention that this is a major topic I'm going to be covering in the upcoming online class that I have. And this time it's going to be very easy access for this class. It's WhatsApp training, right? And I'm going to share details in a bit. Now, I'm going to conclude this session by talking about two things that I think home bakers should do to make sure that your online followers turn into paying customers. I'm going to tell you two things in a bit. I now want to share about the course. So I'm going to be running a Baking for Business online class on WhatsApp. This is the first course I'm running on WhatsApp. This is just out of demand. A lot of people have been like, no, I don't have a Facebook account. I want to just do WhatsApp. So I'm going to run a WhatsApp course. This is going to start next week. It's going to be December 16th to January 13th, right? Now, I want to mention we will be taking a 1-week break for Christmas. We won't do classes that day. But the thing will run from next week all until January 13th. The price of the class is 1,200 shillings, right? 1,200 Kenyan shillings For non-Kenyan payments, we do have some people who come and they're not Kenyan. We do $12 for the class. So it's a 1,200 shilling class. And for anybody who watches this live stream, yes, TikTok or yes, YouTube, if you watch this live stream and you've seen this, I'm going to give you a bonus. If you sign up for the class today, by midnight today, I will give you 2 free ebooks, and you can DM me to see. I think we have 7 ebooks, and you get your choice of 2 ebooks, right? So in this class, what will I be talking about? First, how to do accurate costing and pricing. Now, I will be focusing on cakes, so I'll show you how to accurately cost and price a cake. But the method I will show you can apply to many multiple things, like to other products. Also, I recently created an AI tool. And this AI tool is a cake pricing calculator. I created this tool like an app. It's like an app, but it's supposed to be very simple to use for those people who hate using Excel sheets, right? And so the first time that I'm going to release this tool is to the people who sign up for that online class, because I want to see if you guys like how it works. And even after the class, you'll have access to the tool at any time, right? So we're going to talk about costing and pricing. We're also going to talk about how to review your current costing and pricing. So you already have a price. I'm going to teach you how to review your current cost and find out if your current price is actually profitable or not, right? Now, the other topics I'll be covering is online marketing for 2025, how to build your brand, and sort of in that mix, how to increase sales because of that. I will be talking about effective marketing strategies, just kind of how to come up with a strategy for social media and then a plan on how to do that. And I'll be sharing templates. The templates I use to do my planning is the templates I'll be giving you to come up with that. And I'm going to help you come up with a realistic marketing plan. Not a marketing plan that's going to make you just scared about posting. It's going to be realistic based on, we're going to talk about the different things for you to consider when you're coming up with that. So I'll show you how to come up with a plan, how to follow it each month. I will also talk about how to create a unique and memorable brand that resonates with people and keeps people coming back. I will share the basics of that, and then you can see how to do that in your own business. And again, I'm going to have templates for that so that even after class, you can refer to the templates and use them to create your brand, to create your marketing plan, all that stuff. How will the class run? Okay, this class is going to be in a WhatsApp group. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share video lessons into the WhatsApp group twice a week, like for example, Monday and Wednesday. Once you have that video, you can download it on your phone and you can watch it anytime. You don't have to watch it that minute. However, I'll be giving an assignment each week, which means you have to watch the 2 class videos and then do the assignments. Why? The assignments help you learn, right? And you can save those videos for reference after class. I will be doing 2 live video calls all through the whole time in the group, right? This is for Q&As. Anybody wants me to clarify something, that's when I'll do that, right? All templates, when we're done, will be sent to your email and you can use them after class. How to enroll for this class? Make payment by M-Pesa, send your email address. I'll add you onto the WhatsApp group and we'll get started on Monday. So if you're on TikTok, just go to a profile. You can check the phone number. You can WhatsApp DM. There's also a link for WhatsApp DM. You can WhatsApp DM. If you're on YouTube, same thing. I'm going to leave a WhatsApp DM below so you can just write the DM to me. Now, again, for today, if you enroll today, you get 2 free ebooks from our list of 7 recipe ebooks and business strategy ebooks. My bonus for today was, what 2 things do I think home bakers should do to turn online following into paying customers, right? Because a lot of us have followers, but they're not buying cakes. And we need those people to buy cakes. Because why are you posting online? Because you want people to buy from you, right? So the 2 things I'd tell you, 1, post content that will not only attract the right customers, but content that will get you followers to actually DM. And I'm going to explain this. This is out of observation. And of course, remember making my own mistakes that are similar to this. First and foremost, home bakers never pick a niche. Like a lot of home bakers don't pick a niche. So what they're trying to do is everything. And you think that by doing everything, you're going to make more money. You don't, interestingly enough. You end up sometimes losing people. So Post content that's going to attract people. Because I'll meet bakers be like, oh, I want to get clients who will order custom fondant cakes. When I go to their Instagram, when I go to their TikTok, they're just posting whipped cream stuff and buttercream stuff. But you keep telling me that you want to attract a fondant customer cake. The only way you can attract that customer is by putting out content that that customer would be attracted to. So stop posting content about whipped cream and start posting content about fondant cakes. You will attract what you put out there. So put out there the thing that the person you want to attract wants. That means that you as a baker you've picked a niche and you know who your target market is. So don't tell me that I'm not able to get this type of clientele, but you're not posting stuff that they would want to buy, right? I tell people an example of, I'm not sure if this is relative at this time, but there's this business called Joy Bell's Cake Center. Lovely lady. The Beatrice is the owner. I absolutely love her. She's been in business for like over 20 years. When they post tiered cakes, wedding cakes, custom fondant cakes. By the way, if you didn't know, they sell even Black Forest cake. But because they're trying to attract a certain type of clientele who's going to purchase the premium cakes, that's what they post. So if I want to attract people who are only buying chiffon cakes, I will only post chiffon cakes. That's it. I don't go and post cookies and then I tell people, oh no, we only sell chiffon cakes. My audience will be confused, but you're posting cookies and brownies. Why? So please post the content that will attract the person you're trying to attract. Second thing is that people will post content on marketing, but they won't post content that helps people actually buy. Let me give you an example. If you were to take a leaf from what I was doing, which is flavor of the month, I was doing a flavor of the month to attract people. So if I want people to really buy the flavor of the month, and my flavor of the month is red velvet for the month, I'm not just going to post chocolate cakes and vanilla cakes only. I'm also going to post content about flavor of the month, and then I'm going to tell people to take action. I'm going to write in my caption, hey, our flavor of the month is this. If you order a red velvet cake or red velvet cupcakes, you get 20% off. To take advantage of this, make sure you DM us. Like, let's say you're on Instagram or you're on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, you can tell people, comment below and I will reach out to you. If you are on Instagram, DM and I will give you details. So please note, I'm not just posting content about what we do. I'm not just saying we do this. I'm also posting content that is getting you to take action. I'm telling you what to do. I'm doing what we call CTAs, call to action. I'm telling you, we have this sale. This is what I want you to do to buy. So I'll find bakers are just posting, but they're not telling customers what to do. Now, should you be selling all the time? No. However, find a mix. Marketing content, selling content, right? And again, there's so many AI tools out here, Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, that you can use to help you with captions, right? And then take good photos. And there's so many sites that can help you with editing your photos, like Canva, right? I just use Canva, to be honest. So you can use Canva to make your pictures look good, add your watermark, and post them. So you can make sure, if you want people to actually buy, you're not just posting content about the cake. You're posting content and telling people what to do. You're posting content about sales. So that's one thing you can do. Second thing, if you're a home baker and you want people to actually start buying from you, use tools and strategies, we call them sales strategies, that will help you sell to your audience. Now, there's one particular sales strategy that I always tell people, especially if you're on TikTok, after this live, please go onto our YouTube channel. You will see multiple videos that I've done explaining how to do this. You need to make sure you use strategies that actually, again, get people to buy. Because again, marketing is great, but if you can't get people to actually buy from you, then what are you doing? If you're not getting sales from your marketing, there's a problem. You're not going to grow your business. So one powerful strategy for making profit or increasing sales as a home baker is start having smaller offers, right? And market them often. So to give you an example, if you're a celebration cake, like you do celebration cakes, start offering frosted cupcakes. If your niche is wedding cakes, and this is something wedding cake people sometimes don't think about. If you're doing wedding cakes, start doing mini cakes or sample cake packages. I've shown on YouTube. I have a whole video on how to create sample packages, right? So use this strategy. I call this strategy the Amari SOS strategy because I found this worked in my business multiple times. By the way, it works for anything, not just cakes. It works for my business is a knowledge business. I teach people how to do stuff. So it works for that too. And it works for other people. Safaricom do this. Omo do this. Like it works for multiple industries. So the SOS strategy, the Amari SOS stands for small offer strategy. And what it does is that you take a smaller version of the thing that is your original niche product. So that's why I said if you're doing wedding cakes, do mini cakes. If you're doing celebration cakes, do cupcakes, right? So make a smaller version of your thing. I didn't say cheaper. Like I didn't say make it cheap that it is bad quality. I just said make it smaller, right? Make a smaller thing and then target the same clients that you still have and then sell them this thing. So this helps you gain awareness and increase sales, right? So if you are only doing celebration cakes, then you start selling box of 6, box of 12 cupcakes. I can now buy from you 6 cupcakes or 12 cupcakes every month. I can't buy from you a custom cake every month. I don't have a birthday every month. However, if you start offering cupcakes, I can buy from you every month, which means you can increase sales. So having a small offer strategy helps you upsell. Like maybe when I'm coming to you, I didn't know you do custom cakes, but I saw that you're selling a box of 6. So what I did, sorry guys. So what I did because of that, right, is I decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy cupcakes from you. Now, once I buy the cupcakes from you, you start telling me, hey, by the way, we actually sell cakes, right? I know you bought cupcakes from us, but we actually sell cakes. I was using the strategy. I stopped for a while, but I was using this strategy for our chiffon rolls. So to sell chiffon cakes to people, we would sell chiffon roll, like Swiss rolls that are made of chiffon cake. And then when you buy chiffon rolls from us, we'll tell you, like I'll wait a bit and I'll tell you, hey, we actually sell celebration cakes. And we got a lot of people who bought the chiffon rolls to actually buy the chiffon cakes, like a 1 kg when they have an occasion. So you see that person will buy from you like the roll every month, but there's 1 month where they have 2 birthdays or Christmas or something, and then they'll buy the cake from you. So it's a strategy that helps you not only increase sales because now I can buy multiple things from you every month, but at the same time, if I sold you the cupcakes, I can now sell you a bigger thing. So I can get you to be a buyer of a smaller thing to a bigger thing when you need it. So I am a big fan of this strategy because not only has it helped me, I have trained bakers in the baking business who have started small offers that have helped them increase their sales. I have a lady she was a former instructor. She was doing wedding cakes. She still does wedding cakes, but she also sells samosas. So the samosas make her money, but she also gets the big wedding cake orders. You see, those don't come every day. I had a baker who was doing donuts. She was doing the donuts, but she also does celebration cakes. And so the donuts make the every day, every week money. Then the cakes are for the once a month or twice a month. I also had the frosted cupcake is something multiple people have done. Even I've done it, right? So this strategy will help you upsell a bigger thing to your client who's existing. And it also helps you build your brand, especially if you're new in the cake industry. It's going to help you build your brand faster because maybe you're new in the cake industry, but you're a wedding cake baker. You might find that you're waiting a long time before you get an order. But if you start doing something like mini cakes, you realize, at least I'm able to sell other cakes in between. And maybe some of the people you sell mini cakes, they're going to tell other people about you. So you might be wondering, which products can I do that are those SOS offers, right? So if you're on YouTube, you can probably see this. You can do donuts, brownies. You can do cake slice boxes. You can do bento cakes. I know you guys know bento cakes. I know people who've done cookie boxes. You can do macarons. I knew a baker who started doing macarons and they were so good. Even I ordered from her. So you can start doing these things that help you kind of increase sales to your already existing business. And even if you're getting started, this is something you can start doing when you're starting with that in mind, right? So another thing, focus on digital marketing. Again, if you want to increase sales, As a person who's grown my own baking business, mainly with digital marketing, I'm a big believer of it. So, especially since you're a home baker, you don't have a lot of resources, the best thing to do is go online, use social media to grow your brand. Not only have I done it, I have mentored bakers who have done it themselves. Okay? If you have any questions, do let me know. That is the end of my session for today. Those are the 3 mistakes that I learned. Not reviewing and doing costing when I am running my business, and especially towards the end of the year, I wouldn't review my costing and pricing, none of that. Second thing is not building a brand at first. So I pivoted, turned around, and started building a brand, and it has helped my business. And thirdly, not having a marketing strategy or a plan. I was all over the place. My sales were inconsistent. Once I got serious with that, my sales started becoming more consistent. Are there ups and downs in the industry? Is it perfect? No. Sometimes you'll have years like this year where sales are just naturally down for most people. But having some of those fundamentals down, branding, marketing, even when you have no sales, market anyway. You're going to be surprised somebody saw a post you did 2 days ago or 2 months ago, and now they've come to buy from, right? So if you have any questions, if you're on TikTok, I can wait a few minutes if you have any questions. If you're on YouTube, you can post a question on text. I will answer it on text the next time. Just a reminder, I'm doing the intake for our WhatsApp online class. This is going to go on until Monday because we're starting on Monday. So make sure you don't miss out on this opportunity. This is a good time to sit down and understand when we review, how do you properly review? You just don't sit down and just review and do nothing. I'm going to teach you how to actually review and take action. Remember, if you join the course, you get access to my AI tool on cake costing and pricing. That's going to make it so easy, you don't even need an Excel sheet. Okay? So thanks for hanging with me. I will see you guys next time. If you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and make sure to watch the next video. And I will see you in the next session. All right, guys?